What's going on, guys? Welcome to your second stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and stimulus news report for Wednesday, October 14th. Today we received a very good update from one of our negotiators, Steve Mnuchin. Steve Mnuchin spoke for about 30 minutes at the Milken Institute this morning, and he outlined where stimulus negotiations are and where he sees them going. Well, what I can tell you is you need to watch this entire video because I'm going to address what Steve Mnuchin said, going to address what is going to happen moving forward up to the election and possibly even after. And I want you to really understand where we, the American people, currently stand. This is very important information. So if you could, go ahead and give this video a like, and also share this video with your friends and family on Facebook so they too can stay updated on all things stimulus. Now, this morning, Steve Mnuchin was asked if stimulus negotiations are still taking place between him and Nancy Pelosi. Well, Steve Mnuchin said yes. This is a continuing dialogue between him and the speaker, and they even had a fairly lengthy call this morning that lasted about 1 hour. And in this call, they discussed their differences, which he reiterated that they will continue to speak daily until there is an agreement. If it happens before the election, great. If it doesn't happen until after the election, well, it is what it is. They are working to try to come to some type of agreement. Now, currently, Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi have not seen eye to eye on all points in either bill. When I say either bill, I am specifically referring to the Heroes 2.0 versus President Trump's $1.8 trillion stimulus offer. Those are the two bills that are really on the table. Nothing else really matters. The new bill that Mitch McConnell plans on voting on and potentially passing this coming Monday, that bill is not really going to go anywhere. It's going to be dead on arrival, and it's just for show. So we're not going to worry about that right now. However, what is making things so difficult right now, and what's making the stimulus negotiations go very slowly and seem like they could fall apart at any moment, is the fact that there's so many issues. It's not just the dollar amount. It's not just the dollar figure. It is the language in which the money is spent. And that's what Nancy Pelosi reiterated yesterday when she was talking to Wolf Blitzer. And that's also what Steve Mnuchin mentioned this morning as well, is the language is what they are far apart on. How the money is spent, where it's going to go, but also the figure, the dollar amount, is still an ongoing issue. Steve Mnuchin stated that going over $2 trillion would be very difficult. He was asked this morning, could we see something higher? Could we see President Trump's offer, be extended to something about $2 trillion or maybe even more? And he said it would be very difficult as he would not have the support of the GOP. He did say that he did have all the support from the Senate Republicans before, but with a lower amount. So just because they're getting closer to $2 trillion, some of the Senate Republicans are kind of falling off the bandwagon and they're not going to support the bill. But what you need to remember is that if all Democrats are supporting the $2 trillion stimulus package, then we only need about 13 Republicans on board. That is through the Senate. The House, we're not worried about the House. It will pass, okay? It's no big deal. It already passed there. But it's the Senate that we're worried about. Right now, this is very interesting as more and more reports are coming out that a $1.8 or $1.88 trillion stimulus package, roughly 1.9, that President Trump offered, that's fairly close to what is needed. But there are many reports coming out that are saying that experts are predicting we need about $2 trillion. $2 trillion is going to be the magic number. And if we can get $2 trillion for the next stimulus package, then we should see the economy back to pre-pandemic levels within 2021. And just if you want to know what one of the reports is, just the other day, Brookings Institution found that $2 trillion is going to be the magic number that the United States needs to get the economy back to the pre-pandemic levels. So if you want to go and look for that report and read it, is interesting to read, but it's the Brookings Institution. So it is no secret that Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin are working on a deal that many believe will not get done before the election. I read comments here on the YouTube channel every single day, all the time. And a lot of them are, I knew it's not going to happen. I knew stimulus isn't coming. And all of them many are very down. They're very, they're tough to read. But here's what I want you to understand. Stimulus is coming. It will happen eventually. Whether it happens before the election or after is what the question really is. But Steve Mnuchin has said that he's anticipating it will not happen until after. Nancy Pelosi says she wants it to happen now. Steve Mnuchin says he wants it to happen now. It's long overdue. It needs to happen now because the American people cannot wait months without any additional relief. So, I have been hoping, and not secretly, I have been hoping for a deal for months, but nothing has come out of this so far. So, we continue to trudge on. This morning, Steve Mnuchin was asked during the conference if he anticipates a stimulus package getting done before the election. What he said was, and this is what many of us are wanting to know, as many people are hurting and need some form of relief. Some additional, funding would be great for many people that are currently going homeless and are without food on a daily basis. Steve Mnuchin stated that it would be difficult to get a stimulus package passed and executed in such a short time frame. If you remember, if you didn't watch my video from this morning, I will link to it down in the description box below. Make sure you go and check it out. But we are only 20 days away from the upcoming election. 20 days is not a lot of time for Congress, specifically Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin, to work out the details of a potentially $2 trillion stimulus package. Also, the fastest form of stimulus that would come would be in the way of a stimulus check. Steve Mnuchin stated over a month ago that it would take probably anywhere from 7 to 10 days to see any form of stimulus or a check reach your bank account, and that's through direct deposit. So he stated he could get about 50 million checks out to the American people within the first 7 to 10 days, which is fairly quick. However, we're 20 days away from the election. Let's just take off one day for election day. Nothing is going to happen on election day. So we're 19 days away. Let's take off today because we already know nothing's going to happen today. So now we're 18 days in between there from election day. And let's take off 7 days because we know it's going to take, or we'll just take off 10 days because Steve Mnuchin said it's going to take about 7 to 10 days. Let's just say it takes the longest, 10 days. So now we're at 8 days. So that means we have 8 days starting tomorrow. We have 8 days counting tomorrow, 8 days out from there, which would be, tomorrow's the 15th, so the 23rd. So we have until the 23rd to see some type of agreement. We need the House and Senate to vote on that agreement, on that potential bill. We also need President Trump to sign that bill. That all has to be done before the 23rd. And that all has to happen after Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi come to an agreement. And that is with President Trump's, agreement that, okay, I like that. You have my consent, go and offer $2 trillion or 2.1 or 1.95 or whatever, right? So we're still a little ways away. So just understand, it's very, very difficult. It would be almost impossible to see a stimulus check before the election. However, we could see the verbal agreement before the election, but chances are we wouldn't see any votes until maybe the week of or after the upcoming election. So with this new information, many people are wondering if there's even a purpose to continue stimulus negotiations right now or just wait until after the election. Well, the reason why stimulus negotiations will continue, and Steve Mnuchin alluded to this, is because right now waiting only prolongs a bad situation. If they wait an additional roughly 3 weeks until after the election, then essentially they're pushing the whole timeline back 3 weeks, and they don't want to do that. So they will continue negotiations because the two sides are just too far apart right now to come to any quick resolution. Right now, both sides are saying that they can't agree on the plan for testing and tracing, and the language in which the money is spent is still an ongoing issue. Drew Hamill, the chief of staff for Nancy Pelosi, said in a tweet, quote, "One major area of disagreement continues to be that the White House lacks an understanding of the need for a national strategic testing plan. The speaker believes we must reopen our economy and schools safely and soon, and scientists agree we must have a strategic testing plan." Well, this comes just a day after Nancy Pelosi stated that having a smaller and more targeted stimulus package is not better than having anything or having nothing at all. Well, Steve Mnuchin, on the other hand, had this to say. So he said this morning, "We continue to have discussions and try to compromise on a broader package. I will say, from our standpoint, the all or nothing approach doesn't make sense." And as an American, as a human being, as somebody that sees people on the streets every single day begging for food, money, and just for a job, it's very tough. The all or nothing approach is something that we should never have to deal with. It should be something. We should get all or something, never nothing. Now, one of the questions that so many people have asked me recently is whether or not I believe Nancy Pelosi would even consider a stimulus package. Well, at this time, me personally, I do not believe Nancy Pelosi really wants a stimulus package to happen right now. We are too close to the election. Joe Biden is too close to potentially winning the upcoming election. Nancy Pelosi will not accept any package. Even if it was $3 trillion, Nancy Pelosi would find a way to say, no, that doesn't meet the needs of the American people. That doesn't honor our heroes. That doesn't put enough money into the pockets of our workers. She would find a way. Now, it's not important as to what I believe, because honestly, I have no power over what happens. Steve Mnuchin, on the other hand, he does have a response to this, and what he says does hold some value. Steve Mnuchin stated that he believes ultimately that Nancy Pelosi isn't in any hurry to get a stimulus package passed, as it could help President Trump with his re-election. Well, we all knew that, but that is what Steve Mnuchin just had to say. Even though the chances of getting any stimulus prior to the upcoming election is dwindling down, Nancy Pelosi did say that any stimulus would be retroactive. Now, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, retroactive stimulus checks. We're getting a lot of money. Everything's coming. It's going to be good. We're going to get back on track. The house is going to be paid for. Cars will be paid for. Everything is going to be just fine." Here's the problem: retroactive stimulus checks, retroactive unemployment, retroactive anything does somebody absolutely no good if they've been kicked out of their home. Their car has been repossessed. They are getting, collection letters from, their credit cards. Their things are being taken away. Water's being shut off. They can't provide food. People are dying around them. A retroactive anything does no good. Now, when Nancy Pelosi said this, what she is simply referring to is there will be retroactive unemployment, meaning the unemployed would get paid for some additional money for the times that they weren't working, as long as it matches up with the time that they are going back in retroactive pay. Well, that's great. But if you are working, or you are not on unemployment, or you don't have any more unemployment, then you're out of luck. States would also see funding for the money that they lost. This would be retroactive. It's not just new losses, it's all losses that they've seen over the course of the past 6-7 months. Renters could also potentially get some more money for back rent. However, stimulus checks can't be retroactive. So all these people that are saying there's going to be a retroactive stimulus check, honestly, there can't be a retroactive stimulus check because it's a one-time payment. If there is any retroactive stimulus or as a stimulus check, it would come in the form of the adult dependents that didn't get covered on the last stimulus package, the CARES Act. They would potentially get a $500 check. But Nancy Pelosi, Steve Mnuchin, and even the Trump proposal does not include any retroactive payments for stimulus checks. So because of that, don't let people fool you and say, oh yeah, we're getting a retroactive stimulus check, when honestly, everybody's going to get a stimulus check. It's not retroactive because it's a one-time payment. Right now, retroactive payment sounds really good, but when you realize what is actually going to be retroactive, then you understand that millions of people, tens of millions, maybe 100 million people, will be left out of all of this funding and relief. So, what you need to keep in mind going forward is that stimulus negotiations will continue to happen, but the likelihood of a stimulus payment reaching the American people prior to the election is very, very small. So, again, as I know more, I will continue to keep you updated on all the stimulus negotiations and stimulus talks. If I see a stimulus payment is going to be coming very soon, I promise I will let you know. But again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel. I just want to say, I really appreciate all your comments. I try to read them, try to get to them, and answer them as quickly as I can. Again, so thank you for leaving your comments. If you can do me a favor, if you enjoy these daily stimulus updates, can you go ahead and hit that like button? Again, share this video with your friends and family on Facebook so they too can stay updated, and I'll see you guys on the next one.